You think you've got my number figured out, a motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Michael Hassler, welcome. Echo Wrestle Dragon, welcome. 1 second, folks. Okay. We're fine. Everything's fine. Everything's completely normal. Oh. I think I know what this is about. Was this the AI video? Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, yeah, this is about the AI video. Oh my goodness. Let me just reset this real quick. Oh my goodness. Well, I suppose we can briefly go over that today. Jesus. Bipedal Meatbag, welcome. The leopards are having a buffet of faces. Yeah. I mean, I suspect that that's going to be a reoccurring theme for the next, what? If we're lucky, this will be a reoccurring theme for the next 2 years, right? That's like best case scenario. Yeah, it's only been a month. Yeah. It feels like it's been a lifetime. Faux Machina, welcome. Nice hoodie. I think I like it too. Everything is completely normal. Everything is fine. Yeah. Everything is normal and hinged. Fantastic emote right there. Look at that. Perfect. Ladybug, welcome. All right, folks, let's get started. The usual disclaimers, folks. Thank you all for hanging out here. I appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, there are many different ways of doing so, folks. Make sure you keep liking the stream on the YouTube. Subscribe. Spread the word. We're here Monday through Thursday around 5 p.m. So spread the word. Bring a friend. That is a phenomenal way of supporting the channel. Join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel and get updates. And if you want to support the channel directly, make sure you hit up that merch store and ! tip. Oh yeah, and sub to the Substack. Forgot about that. All right, folks, let's get started. you know, if fascism is going to come here, it seems to me that there are at least some areas of resistance, and I think we should probably spend some time highlighting where resistance is occurring, because I think it's important. Would have been better if the video had Putin instead of Elon.
The time to fight back is now.
A lot of Americans, for a good reason, are feeling a little aimless right now. A lot of pent-up frustration around what the Trump administration is doing, and the Democratic Party isn't doing a whole lot to fight back against it. Cue Bernie Sanders, who held several events over the weekend for good reason. I'll get to what that reason is. But massive crowd showed, which I gotta say is, for me, not surprising because it's Bernie Sanders, but typically we're holding events outside of a campaign, outside of a primary, there's no election going on, and having this many people show up is wild. But before I get to a couple of clips and why Bernie is doing this and his attempt to organize voters, I want to remind you, in case you forgot, or maybe you never saw this, this is an incredible map. This is from 2019, going into the 2020 primary, candidates with the most individual donors. Bernie Sanders, this map comes up every now and then on social media. People bring it back up because it shows you so much. Bernie Sanders with support all across the country. This was the energy that he's able to continue harnessing because he continues being one of the few people that is truly in the opposition to the Republican Party. He's an independent senator fighting for what's right, is willing to criticize the complete failure of the Democratic Party to fight back against both Trump and the oligarchy. And he's able, and I think best poised, to go with this message.
Yeah, I think so, because, like, again, the key here is that Bernie actually presents an alternative to not just, like, Trump, but, like, he presents an alternative to the status quo. And I think that's kind of like the winning formula here. If only we had Bernie instead of Hillary. Yep. We might have avoided this whole fascism thing, you know? But here we are.
Before I get to the first clip, this is the environment of where this is all taking place and why people are feeling a certain way. Trump has tapped an unprecedented 13 billionaires for his administration.
Phenomenal.
So I will link to the source below the video in case you want to go through all 13. But this gets to people's feelings right now around the economy. Here is Harry Enten on CNN.
Rutrow, the reboot not as well received as the original. Economy is currently good or excellent. Look at this. In April of 2017, it was 40%. Look at where we are in February of 2025, just half that level. 20%. My goodness gracious. The term one high was 63% of Americans in February of 2020 thought the economy was excellent or good. This 20% we have currently going on right now is fewer Americans saying the economy is excellent or good than at any point during Trump's first term. This is not a good sign, Kate Baldwin.
J.D. Vance said last week, you got to give them time, even though that's not what they promised in the campaign. They said they'd bring prices down.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's just, like, nonsense, right? I mean, like, you can only gaslight people so much, you know? You can only gaslight people so much. I mean, like, there's even, like, albeit it's small, admittedly, it's small, but there is some parts of MAGA that are not, they're not really on board with this. And I think that it's going to hopefully result in Trump losing a lot of ground in the midterms, right? I think that could possibly result in Trump losing a lot of ground in the midterms, which maybe it would be an avenue for pumping the brakes on what's happening here, so that we have breathing room to go into 2028. But it really depends on what happens in these midterms.
Day one. But what is the view of the future economy then?
Yeah, so this is the current economy. How about the future economy? Is the economy getting worse or better? And all I can say is yikes. Yikes. Again, compare it to where we were in the first term at this point, April of 2017, 53%. The majority said it was getting better.
Walter, welcome. Make America affordable again. Oh, man. Like, maybe make America affordable. I don't know. I can't think of something with an I that would make sense. Make Idiocracy fiction again. There you go. MIFA. MAFA.
How about now in February of 2025, the majority say it's getting worse. 59% compared to just 35% who say it's getting better. Worse is higher now than at any point in Trump's first term pre-COVID. This number, to me, is much more worrisome. Perhaps the worst number I've seen for Trump on the economy, because it says even if the economy now isn't great, they also project that it's only going to get worse from here. This is a big, big yikes.
Forget about waiting for days or weeks to get feedback on your screenplay. Get a coverage report in minutes and start improving your screenplay with the aid of our tool and stop.
What?
So, the majority of Americans believe that the economy is terrible and that it's only going to continue getting worse under Donald Trump.
Because it is. Like, just to be clear, like, because it is, right? If there's actually, like, very, very, very good reasons as to why people feel this way. If Trump does end up going through with his tariffs that he put on hold against Mexico and Canada, like, all the goods that we get from Canada and from Mexico will be a lot more expensive. We get a lot of food products from Mexico. Cars will be way more expensive because a lot of that process happens in Mexico and Canada. 25% tariffs. Not to mention, like, all the federal workers that are currently being laid off or forced to resign, quote unquote, is also going to make a massive problem economically speaking. Housing will go up because we get a lot of lumber from Canada. Yep. Like, never mind, like, it's already pretty bad. Like, housing prices are already pretty bad, but, like, it's gonna get worse because the stuff that we use to build houses comes from these places. No more Taco Tuesday, only Tariff Tuesday. Tariff Tuesday.
But maybe they haven't seen that Trump's billionaire cabinet represents the top 0.0001%. These people have your best interests at heart. So people should be confident in the economy and it working for them if their name is Elon Musk. So the collective net worth of Trump's top appointees is reportedly estimated to exceed $460 billion, including Elon Musk's $400 billion net worth. Even without Musk, Trump's cabinet and top appointees in 2025 by far exceeds the wealth of previous cabinets, including his previous cabinet and previous record holder.
Yeah, like, just to be clear, like, the most wealthiest cabinet was Trump's first term, only to be beat by Trump's second term. So, yeah. I think I heard President Elon can only be in government for 125 days, I think. Yeah, I think that if you're a special government employee or something to that effect, you are temporary. So, yeah, I think so. But, like, I don't know. You know, the rules aren't, like... The rules seem to be very malleable now. So I'm not sure. Like, I think that he would be. I think they would have to like make him a permanent employee, or maybe renew the special government, whatever designation that he has. I don't know. 50 Cent is changing his name to Dollar Bill because of inflation. Understandable. Your neighborly sheet poster. What about Dan Bongino? He's poor, relatively speaking. Yeah, he's just a couple millionaire, right? Just a couple millionaire. Yeah. Poor Don Bongino, worth about 150 million. If he's picking Dan Bongino, he really has a small pool of friends. Well, I mean, I think it's mostly because like he's very, very loyal. So that's probably it. That's probably really it. Like, a lot of the qualifications necessary to be in Trump's cabinet or inner circle is just like how much devotion you have to the movement, right? That's pretty much like the main prerequisite. And like Dan Bongino is like pretty up there as far as like being a Trump sycophant. Hope not he's doing enough damage. Yeah. We'll have to see what happens with that once his like special government employee, whatever, whatnot. I don't know how that situation is gonna work, to be honest. Personally, I hope it ends up being the case where he has to leave. Trump just sees people on Fox News and wants them to work for him, right? Especially people especially people who brown nose him a lot.
Which was worth $3.2 billion. President Biden's cabinet collectively was worth $118 million. So I want to be clear. This is still an issue. But there's a massive difference here between the level of billionaires that are in Trump's cabinet and the multimillionaires in a Democratic cabinet. Both are still wrong. There should be more representation of the working class, of unions. Union leaders should really be the ones leading the charge. But it's beyond terrible what Trump and his cabinet are doing. That's where Bernie Sanders comes in. So this is his fighting oligarchy tour. Where we go from here. So he went to Omaha, Nebraska, Iowa City, Iowa. I'll get to a clip in a second, but here are some images. He said on Twitter here, I want to thank the overflow crowds who came out in Iowa City to stand up to Trumpism. Together we must say no to oligarchy, no to authoritarianism, no to massive cuts in Medicaid, and no to huge tax breaks for billionaires. Check out this crowd. And then the overflow crowd, which
nice
is a little wild that there is even an overflow crowd. So let me get to a clip. This one is from...
God bless this man. Look, like Bernie Sanders... Bernie Sanders isn't, like, perfect by any means, okay? And, of course, he's had his, like, little things here and there, but Bernie Sanders, really, like, as far as politicians go, right? Like, as far as politicians go, Bernie Sanders is a freaking saint, man. Okay, there's not a lot of politicians like Bernie Sanders, right? And he inspired other politicians that are elected members now in office. Bernie needs Kendrick Lamar on his tour. That would be pretty cool.
Nebraska. But I'm going to get some more data around just how crazy these crowds were in a second.
Trumpism will not be defeated by politicians inside the D.C. Beltway. That is not going to happen.
Yep.
It will be
Bernie Sanders is 100% correct here, because like the mechanisms in place that should be working right now are not working. There is not a single Republican, okay? There is not a single Republican that is out there trying to remove Trump from power, right? Like the congressional duty that Congress has of oversight is not happening, right? These people are actively ignoring court orders, so the judiciary check is not happening. So Bernie Sanders is correct. Like, Trumpism is not going to be defeated simply by the people, the politicians that are currently there. The Democratic Party currently, to the extent that they've even like done anything, has been incredibly milquetoast, and it's not really like opposition. Okay, let's be honest. The stuff that the Democratic Party and the federal level, like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, it's been like really not much. Okay, like we've gotten tweets about how God is in command, ? We've got sternly worded letters. We've got lots of concerns, but as far as action goes, very little from Democratic leadership. Of course, there are exceptions with individual politicians that are getting out there, joining the federal workers who are protesting, and speaking at those protests and those rallies, like AOC. I think Rashida Tlaib was also there too, and but as far as like the broad response at the federal level from the Democratic Party, it's been pretty underwhelming.
Defeated by millions of Americans in Nebraska, in Iowa, in Vermont, and all over this country. Who come together at the grassroots level like we are doing tonight in a movement which says no to oligarchy, no to authoritarianism, no to kleptocracy,
Nice.
no to massive cuts in programs that the working class desperately needs, and no to huge tax breaks for the billionaires and the 1%.
Yeah, so just to be clear, like the tax cuts and the way that they're trying to balance these tax cuts for wealthy people, it is by taking away important critical social programs, mainly Social Security and Medicaid. I don't know, Dems spent last year talking about all the things Trump is going to do, but people still wanted him for president. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing is, like, the Democrats, I think the problem here is, like, the Democrats failed to provide, like, people, it's true, like, what they were talking about what Trump was going to do, right? And I don't think that a lot of people really maybe grasp that, but in any case, I think that the main problem that the Democratic Party had was not so much about like warning people about what he would do. It was more like they didn't have they didn't offer a good alternative, right? Like it's not enough to just be like, we're not fascist. It's also addressing the issues of the working class, and I don't think that the messaging was really there when it came to actually like talking to their voters. I think that's where the problem was, at least one of them anyways. Cognizant with the tier 1 sub, thank you. If Bernie Grip walks at the Super Bowl, he might win the next election. Oh my goodness. No, poor Bernie, man. He's done. I think Bernie's doing the Lord's work right now. Bernie Sanders is, let him do the Lord's work right now about doing these rallies and getting people together. I don't think that he has another election in him. God bless this man. He's like 80 something years old. So it's like they gave up or something. I can't put myself in the brains of what these Democratic, of what these like upper management, I don't know, the leadership, all right, whoever's making these decisions. I can't put myself in their brain. I don't know what they were thinking. I really don't. I really don't, because like the campaign seemed to be I mean, like, I don't want to be doomer, but it seemed like it was cooked from the beginning. Looking at it from hindsight, despite it looking very close from the entirety of the election, it was very close, very, very close. It was a coin flip essentially, but like, I think that this was cooked regardless. I don't think it mattered. I think that like Biden being incredibly unpopular and their rush, first of all, they screwed up by letting Biden run again, a deeply unpopular candidate already, and they didn't have enough time to do an actual primary, to sort out who's going to be the next Democratic, star or whatever. They didn't do that. They didn't have a primary. The only thing that they had at the time, the only play they had, because Biden refused to step down. Biden refused to not to just call it a day, man. He refused to step down. So by the time he did, the only person that they were able to kind of run really was Harris. That's it. Like, they didn't have enough time to do a primary. The campaign funding was going to be an issue because she was the only one that was going to be able to access the fund. Like, it was a disaster. It was a disaster from, I think, the very beginning. So, yeah. It didn't help campaigning with Liz Cheney. That's true. Problem is, Dems don't want to do stuff for people. They want for the people. They want to return to the status quo where they feed us mushrooms endless. Where they feed us shrooms endless amount of ish, and we eat it up for days. Right, but like, that's exactly it, right? Like, they Dems aren't interested in a fair primary. They just run the next person who won't make waves. But like, that's the problem, right? Because people don't want the status quo, right? Like, the reason why Bernie Sanders is so popular is because he offers an alternative to Republicans, and he also offers an alternative to the status quo. Like, that's really the winning formula, I think, at least the start of a winning formula. You can't just run on the status quo, and it's not going to work. They're just going to keep losing. I'm speaking now.
So you see there, Bernie acknowledges that this is not going to be stopped by people within Congress, but it will be stopped by a movement of regular people who stand together. And he goes on, as I'll get to later, to sort of give an idea or discuss an avenue for where at least these people should go. And you can, as I'll discuss later, you can kind of see what he's trying to help create. But Faz Shakir, who has worked with Bernie for years, says this is a first in many ways. We had two different large flow crowds in Iowa City. One of those overflows was so large that it was bigger than the original theater he came to speak at. So
that's wild. Dems worked harder to stop Bernie than they did to stop Trump. Yep. They don't give a flying F what the people want. Bernie W. Welcome, punk rock octopus.
Again, I know I'm harping on these crowds, but it's not an election. There's not a primary going on. This is just people coming together that want to see Bernie Sanders, but there is this desire, this pent-up energy that people are trying to find a place to put. And this is potentially the start of where that energy can go.
It's not a day.
God bless this man.
Helps on Twitter writes, Bernie Sanders in Iowa City is the most searched term in Iowa over the past 48 hours. In the past 7 days, people in Nebraska, Alaska, and Wyoming round out the top 5 regions searching oligarchy. So this is a video from Omaha, Nebraska of Bernie coming out, and check out the energy here.
Dems are solid, same crap as Red, just less evil.
So they were originally going to be in a union hall, and then
And Trump does? No, not one bit. Trump doesn't care. Trump is very like, well, actually, I don't know. I was going to say Trump is very clear about what he wants, but like, no, he tries to lie and pretend that he's like a populist president. So, but he's really not. It's debatable if they're the lesser evil. They know the people need help and refuse.
So many people signed up to come to this that they had to change venues. Now, Warren Gunnels, who also has worked with Bernie.
Yeah, like, just to be clear, like, hey Trump, how's the crowd sizes? Just to be clear, like we're dealing with like a literal fascist party, taking over the government, right? And like, you know, this is beyond parties. Like, people really need to come together, right? Like, the working class people need to come together and just say, you know what, like, enough is enough. Because like this is seriously dangerous. What's happening right now with Elon Musk, with Trump, is unprecedented, okay? It's unprecedented. That's the only word that comes to mind, right? Like, I know it's exhausting, right? But this is truly unprecedented. People cheering Bernie on makes my heart warm.
For years and years. Writes here, what's amazing to me is Bernie did this after a marathon session in the Senate that began at 7:11 p.m. on Thursday and ended at 4:37 a.m. on Friday, voting on over 25 amendments during that time, getting home at 5:15 a.m. and taking a 1 p.m. flight to Omaha to give this speech at 6:30 p.m. I continue to be shocked at how Bernie Sanders is able to find this energy. I, put a video together in a day and I'm exhausted. Now, I also have a young child. That's part of it. But Bernie I don't know where he's able to get this energy from, especially at his
he's getting this energy from the working class, okay?
age, but like
it's like a Dragon Ball Z what is it, Genki Dama spirit bomb. Okay, that's literally Bernie Sanders, okay? The more the working class provides energy, the more Bernie Sanders is able to like move around. How many Red Bulls is Bernie packing? No, he strictly runs on the energy of the working class, okay?
No one at any age can usually operate this way. It is just wild. I hope he's also taking care of his health. Like, let's not, don't push yourself too hard, Bernie. Make sure you're eating well and eventually getting the sleep you need, because
Bernie's probably if Bernie were to listen and respond, he would probably say, we've got a country to save.
you can't keep operating this way. But it shows you how much he cares about this.
It's a fantastic emote.
These times writing here, Trump is already planning colossal tax giveaways to corporations and billionaires. So this gets to a big piece for why Bernie is giving these speeches. In Trump's 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the law delivered a tax cut for the richest 0.1% of Americans. That was 277 times larger than the one teachers and firefighters got, nearly doubling billionaire wealth in this country and spiking inequality. Meanwhile, corporations got a 40% discount on their taxes, which they used to send record stock buybacks to their wealthy shareholders and pad their profits while they overcharged consumers on everything from gas to groceries.
Yep.
And that worked so
Yeah,
well.
so like just to be clear, like just to be clear, like, you know, when they talk about, oh, we got to give all these like you billionaires and all these mega corporations all these tax breaks because they're the ones that create all the wealth. They're the ones that are going to take that money and spur on the economy. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. What actually happens is that they take all these freebies and just like do stock buybacks. Okay? Like that money isn't going back to the economy. Like putting like more money in social programs, giving people more money to be able to spend is a way more effective economic stimulus than tax breaks for the rich will ever be, because like that just doesn't work. They just hoard that wealth. Actually, Bernie must have a world-class staff. They steal all the wealth and just sit on it. It's dragon sickness. Yeah, exactly. They don't spend it like the working class would, because we would need it for food. We would need it for, you know, items that we just buy day to day. Pay bills. Like the movement, the velocity of money is more with the working class. They build rockets to go to space with it. But MMT, Heal, good time zone, welcome.
Well, for them, that they plan to do this
again. Hello, good time zone.
So Republicans plan to give the richest Americans a fresh round of individual tax breaks, slash the corporate tax rate yet again, and cut taxes on capital gains and dividends, which would let their Wall Street friends keep even more of their winnings when they sell a stock or are showered with dividends. I don't understand how empty you have to be as a person for this to drive you. Imagine already having all the money in the world, all the money you wouldn't be able to even spend it in a lifetime, in 100 million lifetimes, but you want to continue.
Yeah, it's a disease of greed. It's a sickness of greed, you know. Like Cognizant pointed out, it's a sickness of greed, right? Like Lord of the Rings, a dragon sickness. When you touch dragon gold, it poisons your mind. That's what this is.
It again. You need more and more and more and more. While on the other side of that, budget cuts for programs that Americans who are nowhere near your sort of wealth and power and privilege, you want to cut programs that they need to survive. So,
yeah, because fuck it, right? Like, why would you care? It's beyond greed. It's all about control. Well, yeah, that's kind of like the end game, right? Because once you have all the money in the world, I mean, like, it's just really about power. And it's money. It's not, at that point, like, it's not just like about getting more dollar bills. It's about power. So yeah, it's just like the natural conclusion to this, or the last, or one of the final stages of this disease, right? Of this disease of just wanting more, wanting everything. You have hundreds of billions of dollars, right? You could literally do anything you want, right? You could literally like cure, you can literally solve world hunger. And here you are whipping out a chainsaw to laugh at poor people and how you're going to gut important services and destroy their government. And our government enables such extreme hoarding of wealth. Yeah, because it's a negative feedback loop, right? Because like the wealthy purchase government, which then creates favorable legislation, which then makes them more wealthy, which then allows them to purchase more aspects of government, whether it be senators, congresspeople, whatever. And then that turns into even more favorable legislation, and it continues, right? Yeah, it's a negative feedback loop.
So, of course, including things like Medicaid and SNAP, which helps more than 42 million families afford the groceries. This gets to Bernie Sanders, why he's here, and what he wants voters, specifically in these areas, to do.
So what we got right now is Republican leadership as we speak.
Yeah, taxes are just for the poor. I thought it was because eat or be eaten, so gotta keep exploiting. No, it's a disease of really greed, right? Because like, think about it. Like, how does that make any sense? If I have a company, right, and I'm like, I don't know, a millionaire, and then some 100 millionaire comes and wants to buy me out, like, dude, I would have enough money, right, to like live for the next like 3 lifetimes, okay? Like, it's just wild. It is a disease of greed. Capitalism is a disease, and I love how liberals always blame turbo capitalism because we need a capitalism with a human face. That's how they talk. That's how they talk always in obscure philosophical ways like morals, justice, etc. Everything to avoid talking about capitalism. Well, the problem is that like a lot of people think that a lot of people think of capitalism in a very dogmatic way, and it's kind of been like conditioned, right? Because I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, understand that like liberals will defend capitalism because they are capitalists, right? Or they're not capitalists, but they serve capital, right? Heat with a tier 1 sub for 43 months. Thank you so much. Hey, how you doing? Hope you're doing all right. Because if you lose your capital, then you got to work, I thought. But like, okay. Like if I sell my company, like that's just but then you're basically conceding that like you actually don't want capitalism the way you describe capitalism, right? Because you would just say like, oh well, that's just capitalism. But no. It's funny how that works. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make to respond to Craftus is, yeah, liberals are pro-capitalism, right? They're not quite there yet. They will defend capitalism, even though, like, most of these people will never be billionaires.
Working on this bill, massive tax breaks for the rich, paid for by cuts to Medicaid, education, housing, and the programs that working people need. Now, it turns out that in the House of Representatives, there is right now a reality where Republicans have a very, very slim majority. Republicans have, as I recall, 218
seats. Whenever whenever you argue against communism, they end up describing capitalism. Yep. Capitalism isn't only about capital. Capitalism is about owning the means of production. And nowadays, if you have capital and good relationships in the government, you achieve ways of attaining more ways of owning the means of production. If you take your company public, you are asking moneyed interests to take control of your company away from you. Sorry, I'm leftist. Maybe we are just agreeing. Probably. I'm not sure. But anyways, it's okay. It's not like... I don't think we have like a disagreement, to be honest. It's just a matter of diagnosing the situation, I guess.
$18 members Democrats have 215. They have a 3-vote majority. That is not much. If 2 Republicans go to the Speaker of the House and say, Mr. Speaker,
Thank you for the support, Heat.
no way am I going to betray my constituents. No way am I going to make massive cuts in Medicaid and other programs to give tax breaks to billionaires. If 2 Republicans do it, that terrible bill is defeated.
Yeah, just to be clear, it doesn't matter, okay, how many times these Republicans want to gaslight you, okay? Like, they do want to cut Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, programs that are helping the working class, okay? Programs that are actually helping people, okay? They have zero qualms about cutting these programs. Veteran benefits, okay? They want to cut that too from for veterans.
What I am asking you to do is make sure that your congressman, Mr. Bacon, is one of those 2 Republicans.
All right, I'm also going to get to the link in a second here showing you where he wants a lot of these people to sign up, and there's something in there that I find interesting. But this is the point of these specific events, is to target these voters in these Republican districts to put pressure on their representatives. So
they've only been trying to cut Social Security since the 70s. By the way, I should thank Elon Musk for supporting the AfD party in Germany, making them losing votes and not being on the government. Nice. Nice. They think we're asking too much. Meanwhile, they get tax cuts out of the wazoo. Yeah, I mean, like anything that revolves around, revolves around doing something for the working class, like these people just like absolutely loathe doing that. I mean, like they literally fought to take away student debt relief. Okay, they fought in court to take away student debt relief, which would have been like an automatic, like an easy W. Okay, easy W that they could tell their constituents that they're doing right. That they can tell their constituents, like, look, man, we're doing this. This is how it's going to be an economic stimulus for everybody. I know, like, not everyone has student debt, but like, explain that to, like, they could do this, and they know, or they should know, right? Like how this works, but they know. Instead, they just flip everybody off, and they just flip everybody off, and laugh at the working class. Yeah, go away.
One of them
Elon
mentioned there was Bacon, Representative Bacon. The other is Representative Miller Meeks. And the intention is to ensure this bill doesn't go through. Now, they're going to have to contend with the fact that Charles Koch has launched a $20 million campaign backing Trump's tax breaks. So they're going to try and argue that this is actually good for people, that it's great to give even more money to massive corporations and billionaires and cut programs that regular people are using. It's a great idea. So, and this is how they fool people for decades at this point. I mean, the amount of money and time through avenues like Fox News, AM radio, since, the 1980s, this is what has slowly turned conservatives into these complete lunatics who have a hard time even understanding what reality is, because they have been so conditioned to believe this trash that at some point these billionaires are going to help us. And oh yeah, it's the Democrats that are the elites, only them, not the billionaire cabinet that Trump has. It is just insane. But these are the 2 links that Trump goes on to mention in his speeches. So the one for Omaha, it's BernieSanders.com/Nebraska, and he encourages you to call your representative. But something worth mentioning here as well. I will attend an organized training. I will host a meeting house party.
Nice.
There's an attempt here to not just put pressure on representatives, but also try and build some sort of organizing apparatus, at least specifically in these areas. And
yeah, because it's going to be necessary. Look, if the Democratic Party, okay, if the Democratic Party is too busy, okay, if the Democratic Party is too busy to make a proper defense against fascism, then like screw it, we'll do it ourselves. And it seems like Bernie Sanders is at least trying to build some kind of organizing apparatus. What is democracy? What is healthcare? What is affordable housing? Don't know. I tried to host a party in Colorado for the 2016 election, but I was in too red of a county that nobody showed up. Oof.
And I'm sure he's going to have, more speeches in other districts. And there seems to be an attempt here to try and really organize people in these areas. And how he's going to, maybe utilize that in the future in some way, it remains to be seen. But this is the start. Knowing who your neighbors are, organizing with them, understand that there is a collective goal here. And this is how eventually the people win. It takes time. It takes organizing. It takes people power. But it can eventually happen. And here is the other link, the one for Iowa. This one, berniesanders.com/Iowa. So same thing here, but just different representatives. Very interesting start here. So I assume he's going to continue this. Bernie Sanders.
Is he going to Georgia? Because that would be cool. I would go to a Bernie Sanders rally here. There's some like purple areas. We do have 2 Dem senators, and one of them I think is up for election in the midterm. So it'd be nice. Yeah, Atlanta.
Sanders is one of the few people in Congress who's able to, I say few people, I think the only person really, that is able to get these sorts of crowds for an event that isn't a campaign or a primary event. Like, it is wild to see these crowds. So it's good to see him utilizing his power in a way that organizes people and isn't just about, a vote. And I can't wait to see potentially where this all goes.
It's nice to get a little hopium, to know that at least someone, okay, that at least someone is trying to do something, right? And not just like strongly worded letters of concern, but I mean like trying to rally people together. I think that is massive. So God bless this man. Again, for all, as far as politicians go, Bernie Sanders is definitely up there. Look, a few things here and there, but Bernie Sanders, I don't think we'll see another politician quite like Bernie Sanders for a while. I think that AOC probably has like the best shot at picking up the mantle, right? AOC seems to me like one of the more probable candidates to pick up the mantle, but like, man, one of our Dem senators is retiring in 26. Oof. Look, the midterms, okay, when these midterms come up, like that's unironically, like that's the last stand, folks, okay? That is it. That is the last stand at that point. Like, that is the last stand as far as like trying to invoke the democratic apparatus, so to speak. The midterms is like the last shot as far as like electoral politics go. I lost hope in the US since Bernie wasn't elected to be presidential candidate. I hear you. Buttigieg is supposedly running for that seat. Well, for more hopium, folks, okay? Look, acts of resistance, okay, are happening across the country. And I think it's important to highlight when these acts of resistance happen. Because, like, I don't know, man. It seems kind of screwy. It seems kind of bad. The situation seems kind of bad. So I think it's important to remember that it's not quite over yet, okay? It's not over yet.
Unfortunately, it's clear that this council does not listen. So instead, I'm going to take my time to say what MAGA has stood for these past 3 weeks. MAGA stands for trying to erase trans people from existence.
True. Yeah, make good trouble.
MAGA stands for resegregation and racism.
True. Sorry, impromptu cat appearance. Pete is a shining example of Bidenism. Let's go. No. Let it go. Okay, we don't need more of the. Look, that era part of the Democratic Party needs to go away. And like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if the message is ever going to get through as far as like the federal Democratic Party is concerned. I don't know if that message is ever going to go through. So I don't know. I think it's best to probably put your energy into trying to do or trying to support like local politics, because I think that's probably where the power is going to be. I don't understand two things from this video, but I'll tell them at the end of the video.
MAGA stands for censorship and book bans.
Yep.
MAGA stands for firing air traffic controllers while planes are crashing.
Yep.
MAGA stands for firing the people overseeing our nuclear arsenal.
A true thing that happened, by the way. They didn't understand that that's what the Department of Energy does, okay? And these inept, incompetent morons fired the people and then attempted to rehire them because they realized that those people that they just fired oversee the nuclear arsenal. They thought, oh, this is just the Department of Energy. Yeah, cool, fantastic.
MAGA stands for firing military veterans and those serving them at the VA.
Yep, a thing that happened.
Including canceling research on veteran suicide. MAGA stands for cutting funds to education,
yep,
including for disabled children. MAGA is profoundly corrupt, unmistakably anti-democracy, and most importantly, MAGA is explicitly a Nazi movement. You may have replaced a swastika.
Yep. Yeah, like it's not even that like it's not even like that much of a controversial statement, right? Especially after what we've seen at CPAC. Right? Like, these people are, like, just literally Sieg Heiling, okay? They're literally Sieg Heiling in these Republican events, right? And nobody there, by the way, has said anything, okay? Have we ever gotten a comment from Donald Trump about Elon Musk's little Sieg Heil thing? No, right? No. China hired them. It's fine. They probably blamed DEI when fired them. Yeah, unironically, yes. Yes. He can go to Mars too. Doge is still sending mails to employees all over the system. Like, write 5 bullet points of what you have worked. Yeah, this is so like wild. It's so, you know, by the way, like that's completely uncalled for. And I don't even think you have to, respond to that. Like, a lot of departments are finally kind of finding their footing and saying like, you don't have to respond to that. Like, who the hell is Elon? I'm sorry. Yeah. And if they didn't clap, I'm sure the audience also made the Nazi salute.
With a red hat, but that is what it is. I will now engage in the time-honored American tradition of peaceful civil disobedience.
Get out.
based.
And that, my friends, is how you make a statement. That was Chris Clue speaking at a city council meeting at Huntington Beach. And if you looked familiar, well, it's because he was the punter for the Vikings. Now, what he did there was so incredibly bold and brave to me, because putting his body on the line, getting arrested to get a message out to the American people that he believes is important, that right there is commendable. That is how you resist fascism. And he's right. For all intents and purposes, MAGA is a modern day Nazi movement.
Yeah, like it's not even, it's not even like neo. Okay, it's not even neo. It's just a Nazi movement, right? Yep, Steve Bannon also did the fascist salute. He did. I saw it. Okay, first point. What is civil disobedience? Well, basically, like, exactly what it sounds like, right? Like a protest, blocking, like, for example, blocking an entrance to like a building, right? Marching to a building that typically you would not be allowed access to, and showing up to protest that, and you were not allowed to protest there because of whatever, that would be an act of civil disobedience. Sitting in front of that area to block that meeting or whatever was not allowed, which is why they threw him out, because he was obstructing or whatever. It's just basically like you're about to like violate the law, but you're not, like it's like a BS like law, like whatever. It's to remove protesters, as Bipedal Meatbag points out. The refusal to comply with certain laws or pay taxes and fines is peaceful form of political protest. Correct. So in this case, like, you can't be like sitting and blocking and obstructing the council meeting or whatever, right?
And more people are finally starting to wake up to that reality, including people in power.
Moving
like
Train Media, welcome, by the way.
David Pritzker, he's the governor of Illinois, and he had a similar warning for anyone who's still choosing to bury their heads in the sand at this point.
What comes next? After we've discriminated against, deported, or disparaged all the immigrants and the gay and lesbian and transgender people, the developmentally disabled, the women, and the minorities, once we've ostracized our neighbors and betrayed our friends, after that, when the problems we started with are still there staring us in the face, what comes next? All the atrocities of human history lurk in the answer to that question. And if we don't want to repeat history, then for God's sake, in this moment, we better be strong enough to learn from it. If you think I'm overreacting and sounding the alarm too soon, consider this. It took the Nazis 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes to dismantle a constitutional republic. And all I'm saying is that when the 5-alarm fire starts to burn, every good person better be ready to man a post with a bucket of water if you want to stop it from raging out of control.
That was great, and I'm glad that politicians are finally speaking to the urgency of this moment, because it doesn't take fascists very long to dismantle democratic institutions, as he explained. I mean, Hitler did it in 2 months. And when it comes to Project 2025, it's meant to be implemented really quickly. In fact, within the first 180 days of Trump's administration, but at this rate, it's actually being implemented faster. Twice as fast, to be specific, which means that it is on track to be fully implemented by the end of April if this pace continues. And I say that because if you look at this Project 2025 progress tracker, you can see that after just 1 month in office, 34% of Project 2025 has already been put into place. It's more than a third of the way to full completion, and specific objectives are moving along faster than other ones. As you can see, the destruction of USAID is already fully complete, but you can also sort by agency and subject to see where else they're making progress. Just to give you some examples, so when you look at LGBTQ plus objectives in Project 2025, those are already at 67% completion. Civil rights in general is at 50% already, with rollbacks at the Department of Education progressing faster than rollbacks at the Department of Labor, where they're trying to undo civil rights era protections. Looking at the environment, it's at 42% complete. DEIA is at 100% complete. And the A stands for accessibility, for those who don't know. So they're targeting disabled people too. A couple more here. Medicare is at 0% thus far, thankfully. I'm assuming that's going to change soon. Labor is at 25%, with most of the violations coming from the federal government itself. So I'll link to that down below. If you want to see it for yourself, I would encourage you to bookmark it so you can keep track of what's happening. But just think about this. 34% of Project 2025 has been implemented. We're a third of the way there. And already it feels like an entirely new government. So what is it going to look like when they hit 50%, 60%, 80%?
Yeah. So this kind of stuff needs to be kind of stopped like now. Trump is the Hitler you bought on Temu. Exactly. What laws did he break? I think obstruction of whatever. Okay. Interfering with a civil proceeding sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Trump is the Hitler he bought on Temu. Just saw a news alert saying that to disregard Elon's email request. Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense, right? Like there's a lot of the departments, right, are now telling people to not respond because, like, why? My doggy keeps going in and out. He's naughty, so I have to keep an eye on him. That's all good.
What if they actually go all the way and cross the finish line, get 100%? I don't know if they're going to go that far, admittedly, but the fact that they've already implemented a third of Project 2025 is genuinely alarming. I mean, it's transformational, to put it mildly. It actually feels like we're undergoing a revolution already within the first 30 days of Trump's administration. And the reason why it feels like that, the reason why we all feel like we're losing our minds because of this, is because that's the point. In fact, before the election, the president of the Heritage Foundation, which is the organization that created Project 2025, explicitly described Project 2025 as the Second American Revolution.
We are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be.
Make no mistake about it, that was a threat. He's saying that if you don't obey and you don't let them transform your government, you can expect violence. Now, to be honest, I don't think that they want it to come to that, because that's going to make it more difficult for them to do what they want to do. But until it gets to that point, they're going to do their best to try to crush opponents the old-fashioned way, through censorship and legal intimidation. But if they need to, he's telling you right there, they're willing to kill people to solidify the creation of a new Christian nationalist America. So
they also said if you do respond to the email, we've probably read by foreign actors. Yep. Is education illegal in the U.S.? Nope, just expensive.
We're in a battle for the soul of this country. And I hate saying that because it sounds almost like a Democratic Party talking point, like when Joe Biden launched his first presidential...
I mean, that's literally what Joe Biden said. So, yeah.
...campaign in 2020. That's what he said. Oh, this is a campaign to restore the soul of the nation. But without hyperbole, like, that's actually what this is. Going forward, we're either going to be a fascist country or we're not going to be a fascist country. We're at a turning point, which is why I think it's entirely appropriate for individuals like Chris Kluwe and J.B. Pritzker to invoke Nazis when talking about MAGA, because this is the modern day equivalent to that. And anyone who's part of it should carry that shame with them for the rest of their lives. And as bad as things feel now, it's bound to get even worse when they do implement more of Project 2025, if it actually does get 100% completed. And I say this because one goal, for example, is to erase LGBTQ plus people from society by trying to criminalize their existence in public life. And they've already tried to erase trans people from LGBTQ history by purging all references to them on federal websites, and even by removing them from the Stonewall National Monument, which to me feels like the biggest slap in the face ever. Because for those who don't know, trans women of color are the reason why modern LGBTQ plus rights are even a thing. It's the reason why the movement existed. Had it not been for the activism of trans women of color, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, queer people would not have the rights that they have today. So when we say that there is no LGB without the T, that's what we mean. And for them to try to cleanse them of our history is insulting, to put it mildly. But that's only the start, because the Department of Homeland Security just scrapped a rule prohibiting surveillance on someone solely on the basis of sexual orientation, which makes you wonder, why exactly would DHS want to collect intelligence on people specifically because of their sexual orientation? What threat do we pose? It's a pretty ominous sign, right?
Yeah, it's to make a list, right? Like, why would you like increase your intelligence on, say, I don't know, the whereabouts of Jewish people? Not a turning point. U.S. was fascist since the 50s. I mean, like, I think that what I think what the point is that we've never seen it so overt. Right? Like, it's always been, like, more or less tamped down, especially modern day, right? Like, you know, everyone's supposed to have equal rights, question mark. Like, you know, we at least there was some kind of, like, pretend going on here. Now there's not really so much pretend. Hitler got his inspiration from the American Jim Crow laws, so the U.S. has been fascist since pretty much the beginning. Yeah, I mean, well...
But we're not even scratching the surface, because
we've definitely done our part. In Europe, they ask you when they make the census for the population, you just do it online now.
Another goal of Project 2025, putting aside LGBTQ rights specifically, is to roll back voting rights. Now, Trump is doing what he can through executive orders, but Congress is also doing their part. Republican Chip Roy reintroduced the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, aka the SAVE Act, and this legislation could literally strip voting rights away from nearly 70 million married American women, because it would base eligibility to vote on your birth certificate. But if you got married and you changed your name, guess what? The name on your driver's license no longer matches the name that's on your birth certificate.
Correct. So, yeah. In other words, this is a de facto way of taking away the 19th Amendment, right? Without actually having to touch the 19th Amendment. Actually sick. Yeah, except for brown people and women. I mean, they wrote that all men are created equal while unironically owning humans. Yep, true.
That's kind of a problem, isn't it? This would also affect some married queer people, as well as trans people as well, who have a different name than the one on their birth certificate, unless they can get it changed. But they're putting up this obstacle that will disenfranchise millions of women specifically because they don't want women to vote. So we are rolling back the clock at record speed, as intended by Project 2025, but I've only given you 2 examples from a Christian nationalist fascist manifesto that's more than 900 pages. There's a lot in there. But another key component that I want to talk about to Project 2025 is the concentration of power in the executive, because the people behind Project 2025 believe in a bogus legal philosophy called unitary executive theory. Now, in this theory...
Yeah, by the way, this theory is not new. This has been a thing for a while.
The president has power in the executive that is near absolute. And this week, Donald Trump just signed an executive order that essentially puts that legal theory into practice. Just listen to how they describe it.
This executive order would establish important oversight functions in the Office of Management and Budget and its subsidiary.
Just to be clear, like, just to be clear, there's already, like, mechanisms for oversight. Congress literally exists. There's literally an oversight committee, question mark. So there's no need for any of this. There's literally no need for any of this. We literally have an oversight committee in Congress should you have any problems with anything that is going on. There's literally a government accountability office, the GAO, as well.
Office OIRA, supervising independent agencies and many of their actions, and also reestablishes the longstanding norm that only the president or the attorney general can speak for the United States when stating an opinion as to what the law is.
that's literally not how that works at all. The executive actually doesn't do that. The executive, as the name states, executes, right? The laws that were passed by Congress. The people who interpret the law is the judiciary.
Yeah, see, that's not how that's supposed to work. And to put in perspective just how big of a power grab this is, I want to read a quick excerpt from John Bergmeyer. He wrote a piece in Common Dreams, and this is the legal director at Public Knowledge, and I think that he explains it really well. Quote, in the order, the Trump administration purports to seize for itself the power Congress delegated to independent regulatory agencies, and as written declares the White House's interpretation of the law as authoritative with no mention of the courts. Of course, the president is not and never has been the final arbiter of what is lawful. Executive orders are not the law. They are statements of policy and memos from the president about how the executive branch conducts its internal affairs. By attempting to use executive orders to override actual laws, the kinds that are passed by Congress, not issued on a whim from the Resolute desk, the Trump administration is effectively asserting that it stands above the law. Indeed, that it is the law. But the role of the executive branch is not to decide what the law is or to pick and choose which ones it likes, but to carry out and enforce the law as written. Donald.
Right. So, in other words, they execute the law. Amather, welcome. Trump evidently thinks he's judge, jury, and executioner. Correct.
Trump is a high-ranking government employee, not a king. If there are laws he does not like, he can work with Congress to change them. Well, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work, at least in theory, but Trump doesn't actually think that he's bound to the Constitution because he thinks he's a king. I mean, the official White House Twitter account literally tweeted out a picture of him wearing a crown, calling him a king, and before that, he tweeted, "He who saves his country does not violate any law."
That's like a that is like a popular saying, a popular belief within fascist circles, okay? Originally, I believe this came from Napoleon. The quote was originally attributed to Napoleon, but it's very common in fascist movements, okay? Because the only thing that is important is the nation, right? Like it's based on, or rather, it is interpreted as a hyper-nationalistic call to action, right? So, like, say if you're an insurrectionist on January 6th, so if you're an insurrectionist on January 6th, then actually you didn't break any law because you were doing what you did in service to the quote country. You can try, but our Constitution has some safeguards to prevent this very thing. I'm not a lawyer, though. Yeah, I mean, it's not completely game over quite yet. Don't get me wrong, Constitution should be changed sometimes according to social lifestyle. Unfortunately, in the liberal democracy, a Nazi has free speech. Our safeguard is the Supreme Court, so we're effed. A nation is its people, not some arbitrary line on a map.
Which is a tacit admission that he knows he's breaking a lot of laws and a declaration that he has supremacy over the laws that he's violating, which is why he's unbothered by lawsuits and court cases, because he doesn't think that he has to follow them, and he's not. And legal experts say that he's dangerously close to the red line of just openly defying judges, but I don't think it's a stretch to say that what he's doing already amounts to...
Yeah, this is not up for debate. Like, it's already been said that he's defying court orders. Right, there are there are funds that are supposed to be dispersed that were done by Congress that were not. I don't know what the status is now, but that weren't being dispersed, and that is a flagrant violation of what the court ordered the Trump administration to do.
To open defiance of federal judges because he is ignoring them. But the reason why legal experts aren't calling it open defiance yet is because his administration is still cooking up flimsy legal justifications for their defiance. The Washington Post reports the most dramatic example came Wednesday. Plaintiffs in a lawsuit seeking to block the Trump administration's 90-day pause on foreign aid asked a judge to hold the administration in civil contempt for violating his temporary restraining order, blocking the freeze. A day earlier, attorneys for the government said agencies could keep a hold on much of the funds despite Judge Amir Ali's order based on statutes and regulations that exist separately from Trump's executive directive. The government said Ali's order was silent on those other powers and vowed to continue suspension of aid unless the judge clarified his ruling. Legal experts and a former federal judge said doing so despite a court order was extraordinary and troubling. David Super, a Georgetown University law professor, said the administration was one step short of outright defiance of a federal judge. Now, keep in mind that this is just one of many examples of him defying court orders. And that same professor who was quoted said that this is how the administration is responding to all legal challenges. Now, I'm no expert, but it seems like some experts are hesitant to call it outright defiance unless he just straight up says no to a judge, meaning so long as he continues to provide bogus legal justifications for his noncompliance, then it's technically not a constitutional crisis. But I mean, by that standard, I guess it's not a constitutional crisis if he chooses to run for a third term and defy the 22nd Amendment either, right? Because you can also argue there that he has constitutional authority to run for a third term based on some bullshit legal rationale. Maybe, it only bars presidents from serving more than 2 consecutive terms. It doesn't say that, but maybe you can make that argument based on some bogus legal theory. And before you accuse me of being hyperbolic, a circuit court judge is already laying the groundwork for that kind of an argument, saying that the question of him serving a third term isn't straightforward, actually. It's a pretty novel and complex constitutional question. So these are the kinds of arguments that we can expect from a corrupt administration that lies compulsively. And when you take into consideration the fact that he also ordered the Justice Department to fire all remaining Biden-era attorneys under the pretense of depoliticizing the DOJ, ironically, well, we have to stop pretending that this isn't what it looks like.
Yeah. Also, I don't know, man. The Supreme Court is the Supreme Court is not inspiring a whole lot of confidence. Okay, this is the same Supreme Court that basically said that he enjoys a broad immunity.
The man wants to be a fucking king, and not a modern king. An old school king who's hungry for global conquest. I mean, he's trying to annex Greenland, the Panama Canal. He wants to make Canada the 51st state. He announced that he wants to take over Gaza. He's demanding that Ukraine give up 50% of their natural resources in perpetuity as a thank you for defending them against Russia. I mean, the U.S. would basically own Ukraine if they agreed to go along with this. And who knows how close we'll be to war with Iran, since Netanyahu is trying to lure Trump into attacking them. Maybe he'll choose to make them the 52nd state after Canada. I mean, it feels like anything is on the table at this point. So we need to get our heads out of the sand and recognize the seriousness of the situation that we're in. It is a constitutional crisis, and Trump very clearly wants to be a dictator, and he is a fascist. He has shown us who he is again and again. And if you still don't believe him, after he tried to overthrow the last election, after Project...
Yeah, I mean, right? Do we even need to go any further as to, what... as to how he thinks about democracy when he literally was when he literally was planning to overturn the results of the election. This isn't hyperbole. That's literally what he tried to do when he was trying to gather all those fake electors. When he was trying to gather all those fake electors to shoehorn them to win the Electoral College, when he did not win those electoral votes. I mean, that should have been it. That should have been it. That should have been the end of the story right there. But not a single day in jail for that, by the way. Not a single day in jail. January 6th was just a trial run. He wasn't charged because Nazis have free speech. Right, but this wasn't even about free speech, right? Like this wasn't about free speech. Like he literally conspired, right? Like he literally had a conspiracy with Republicans in these battleground states to shoehorn fake electors. Right? This is like not a free speech issue. Oh no! Oh, you're talking about January 6th. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I would argue that that's not even. I would argue that doesn't even fall under free speech. Like you can't incite a riot. It's explicitly not free speech. You can't incite insurrection and call it free speech. I know he says that. I know he tries to make that argument, but it just doesn't hold water. Right. He tried to do a coup and failed.
2025 after Doge has violated dozens of laws. I don't know what to say. I mean, I know it's hard to accept that our country has fallen to fascism, but how many more red flags do we need to see before people wake up? And I know I'm preaching to the choir here. You all get it, but a lot of other people are still in denial about what's happening.
Yeah.
The administration themselves, like they couldn't be any clearer if they tried. The official White House account tweeted out what they're calling an ASMR video of migrants being deported. And I don't think that Trump himself tweeted this, to be clear, but this is the kind of sick, sadistic people that we're dealing with. They are fucking monsters, and the MAGA movement is...
By the way, that's literally the official White House account tweeting this, by the way. He also purged a bunch of voter registries for arbitrary horseshit reasons just before the election. Doge is illegal, should be treated as a terrorist organization. I mean, Doge is not a real government agency. Not really, because that has to be done with Congress. That has to be done by Congress. That's not like they just can't show up and call themselves a department of government, right? Like that's not how that works.
A collection of fascist Trump cultists and Christian nationalists. And Chris Clue was right to call MAGA a modern-day Nazi movement because that's what the fuck it is. And we need to stop pretending like it's not. Like the Nazis, they want absolute power, and they want to terrorize anyone who doesn't align with their demented ideology. I mean, just listen to the way that this one MAGA pastor talks about opponents to Christianity.
You have to reward friends and punish enemies. It's not enough just to release the good guys.
Oh yeah, is this like Temu Matt Walsh or Wish.com Matt Walsh?
You then have to terrorize, absolutely terrorize. Your enemies should be having nightmares every night thinking about what the Christians are going to do to them.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, when I think about like Christianity, about like how Jesus thought about the poor, yeah, I think about like terrorizing people. Bro, what? Where in the Bible does it say that? Where in the Bible does it say that you need to terrorize enemies of Christianity to the point where they're having nightmares? Spoiler alert, it's not in the Bible. Yeah.
Christians should be in government, and those Christians who pursue political office and attain it by the grace of God should absolutely be a terror to anybody who is a threat to Christians here in America.
Christianity is all about accepting others. Those people never read the Bible. Correct. Like, you know, I'm not a big fan of Christianity, okay? And most of the reasons why is because I understand it. And I'm just not a fan of, like, organized religion, yada, yada, yada. That's not the point. Anyways, yeah, nowhere in Christianity is it supposedly like okay to speak like this, right? Like nowhere in the Bible is it like talking about how you should run for government, right? Like by the grace of God, you will be blessed to win government positions so that with the aim of terrorizing enemies of Christianity, right? In the Bible, nowhere in the Bible talks about accepting revenge. Correct. Anyone using the Bible to justify the Constitution has never read the Bible or the Constitution. Correct.
So that's the kind of people who we're dealing with. It's one person, yes, but still I think that he's indicative of the people in power currently who are overtly cruel, explicitly fascistic, and just terrible people in general. And to be clear, anyone who doesn't live in accordance with his interpretation of the Bible is a threat to Christianity, according to him. That includes LGBTQ plus people and stray people who have sex out of wedlock and non-traditional women. Perhaps you work, perhaps you wear pants, I don't know. Anything that falls outside of their norms, that is something that he wants to ban. Now, lucky for this guy, Project 2025, an explicitly fascist Christian nationalist project, is already at 34% completion.
Yeah, the Old Testament is just like, yeah.
And Trump just signed an executive order that will supposedly fight, quote, anti-Christian bias. And yes, that too is unconstitutional. It explicitly violates the First Amendment, but he clearly doesn't care because the long-term goal in America is turn it into a Christian nationalist society where everybody complies with the whims of whatever the fascist dictator is at that time. And the ends justify the means. Now, 10 years ago, I would have said that the Constitution would have stopped this. It would have protected us from this. But now that we have a president who doesn't think that the Constitution even applies to him, it kind of feels like everything is on the table. So I commend people like Chris Clue and J.B. Pritzker and basically anybody else who's using whatever platform they can get and using the appropriate and necessary language to highlight the severity of this moment. The MAGA movement is unquestionably a modern-day Nazi movement, and they pose an existential threat to every one of us. And we all need to wake up to that reality before it's too late.
Luigi, not happy.
U.S. doesn't even have a religion. Correct. We don't have a religion. We don't have a national religion. That is correct. Separation of church and state. Correct. The U.S. doesn't even have an official language. Technically, that's true. Yeah. Technically, that's true. Nice. This outro music is on fire. Herpes Kaiser, thank you for the follow. Welcome. It is spot on. I actually want that. That's actually a pretty freaking good good outro music. Jesus. I'm really sorry for you, man, the chatters, but I want to be alone for now because I think I got too much sadness in me after watching the videos on your stream. Not your fault. Listen, all right. A lot of bad stuff is happening, so I completely understand, okay? It's not easy, okay? It's not easy, and it would be weird, okay, if people weren't upset. It'd be weird if it didn't affect people. Right, because it should. It should make you. It should. Well, it's normal for this kind of stuff to be distressing. My point is like, look, this is where we're at, and time to use this energy. Okay, time to use this energy and be like that football player. Okay, time to use this energy and support the people that are trying to fight back, like Bernie Sanders, right? Support people like AOC, support people in positions of power that are trying to do something, okay? Support people like Rashida Tlaib. America is going through a lot. So while I understand that a lot of this is upsetting, and it should be, not all hope is lost, and we should try to channel that energy and to try to do something about it. Yeah, and find small goals for yourself. That's a good point. I'll try to be back later. I just need some time. Hey, no problem. Look, it's all good. It's all good. It'll be all right. We'll still be here. New Trump approval poll includes brutal stat that the president won't like. I'll shorten this for you. His polls are going freaking down. Per Gallup poll, Trump's approval rating now 45% its poll, a 5 percentage point higher than he was at the same time during his first term, but it is a whopping 15 points 15 points below the historical average of all other presidents elected since 1953. Gallup noted that Clinton was the next lowest polling at 51, 6 points higher than Trump is now. John Kennedy and Jimmy Carter, 72-71, were the highest rated at this point in their presidencies. So while Trump has been claiming his approval ratings are at an all-time high compared to other presidents, that's just not the case. So you know what I mean? Like, it's not all hopeless, and it's not all over. Not by a long shot. Not if anything about it to say we have, right? To quote Master Yoda. So I think we should probably do this one. And then Bongino, I guess. Hey, thank you for the YouTube sub. Thank you so much. Moinab, hey, welcome. Keep subscribing to the YouTube, folks. Thank you. I think we should probably do this, although let me tell you something, folks. If you're having dinner right now, fair warning, okay? A video produced using AI showing President Trump rubbing and kissing Elon's feet played on television screens in the Department of Housing and Urban Development Monday in an apparent mocking of the relationship between Elon Musk and Trump. The words "Long live the real king" were displayed over the top of the computer-generated video, a reference to Trump's Truth Social post last week in which he wrote, "Long live the king." Hill obtained a photo of the screens in the HUD building as the video was playing. Another waste of taxpayer dollars and resources. Appropriate action will be taken for all involved. Are we sure it's AI? That's what we're being told, okay? Musk, the Tesla CEO and the owner of the Twitter, has become one of Trump's strongest allies and amassed a tremendous amount of power over federal agencies, including the firing of thousands of government employees. He was tapped to run the Department of Government Efficiency, an agency advising the administration on cuts to spending and staffing. That's not the purpose, but sure. Where's the video? Yeah, boop the like button. Can we get the actual video? I think we could probably find it on social media. All right, like I said, folks, if you're eating, okay, if you're eating dinner right now, you've been warned, okay? It's really hard to see, but I think the point is made. Fantastic. Well done to whoever managed to get this wonderful piece of media to the Department of to the HUD. Fantastic, and kudos to whoever managed to make that happen. Okay. Yeah, kudos. Well played indeed. Truly an act of resistance, and I think probably should be something that happens to every department. I think every department needs this video. Considering some of the stuff they've done in the last month, it's only mildly, this is only mildly stomach unsettling. Whatever you do, don't share that video with everyone. Yeah. Yeah, whatever you do, okay? Look, acts of resistance come in all shapes and sizes and video, okay? Even if it was made with AI. Oh, man. More of this, please. More of this, please. Okay. I think we're just going to do the Bongino stuff. And I think that's it. And don't tell me what to do. Oh my god. And of course, it would be unfair if I didn't start this segment with the classic, okay?
I wanna be at the RNC. I wanna see Patricia McCloskey. I wanna scream for the GOP. I wanna sit with Dan Bongino. I wanna show the American flag. Eggs behind the toilet in grandma's basement. I wanna ask him if he'll be my dad. I wanna change my name to Nick Bongino. I wanna tell him about the man in the stairs. He kinda looks like Dan Bongino. Grandma tries to tell me not to go down there, but I would be safe with Dan Bongino. I wanna be at the RNC. I wanna be like Dan Bongino. I wanna be at the RNC. I wanna be like Dan Bongino.
Whew. Professional clown. Okay, like I don't even know why media even like decides to even lead with that. Like, who gives a shit? Okay, he's a giant piece of shit. Okay, and he's an absolute clown. There's no need to try to put some kind of like accolade on top of that. Like, oh, he was an ex-Secret Service agent, whatever, dude. He's an absolute clown and media personality. Conservative media personality, yeah, is going to be picked as the FBI deputy director. Okay, so second in command. Second in command, I guess. Oopsies, I got put on a list, I guess. At least shit is good for fertilizer. Dan Bongino, a former U.S. Secret Service agent who ran unsuccessfully for office and gained fame as a professional clown, conservative pundit with TV shows and a popular podcast, has been chosen to serve as FBI deputy director. President Trump announced his appointment on Sunday night in a post on Truth Social, praising Bongino as, quote, a man of incredible love and passion for our country, meaning he is a perfect brown-noser. That's what that means. He called the announcement great news for law enforcement and American justice. It is unclear, of course, what his qualifications are, because the only thing we've got is that he was a Secret Service agent. The selection, but that has nothing to do with running or being potentially the second in command for the FBI. A less qualified person there hasn't been since, well, the presidential election. The selection places two staunch Trump allies on top of the nation's premier federal law enforcement agency at a time when Democrats have raised alarm that the Republican president could seek to use the FBI to target his adversaries. Bongino would serve under Kash Patel, a Trump loyalist who was sworn in as FBI director at the White House on Friday, and who signals his intent to reshape the bureau, including by relocating hundreds of employees from Washington headquarters and placing greater emphasis on the FBI's traditional crime-fighting duties. ? The deputy director serves as the FBI's second in command and is traditionally a career agent responsible for the bureau's day-to-day law enforcement operations. The position does not require Senate confirmation. Cool. Nice. But Bongino, like Patel, has never served in the FBI, raising questions about their experience level when the U.S. is facing escalating national security threats. Okay. Natalie Barra, the president of the FBI's Agents Association, wrote in an internal newsletter to members set Sunday before Bongino's selection was announced that Patel had agreed during a January meeting with her that the FBI deputy director should continue to be an onboard active special agent, and that has been the case for 117 years for many compelling reasons, including the operational expertise and experience, as well as trust for a special agent population. Yeah, no. No, that's not happening. As far as being qualified, that's what I mean. I got to be on so many lists by now, but since they're destroying the FBI and CIA, I wonder if my FBI phone friend will miss listening to me after he's fired. I'm probably on a few lists already. I mean, like if you're a left-leaning person, if you're a leftist, yeah, probably. If you've been to a protest, okay, yeah, probably. The two are inheriting an FBI gripped by turmoil, ? As the Justice Department over the past month has forced out a group of senior bureau officials and made highly unusual demands for the names of thousands of agents who participated in the investigations related to the January 6th coup at the Capitol insurrection. Bongino served on the presidential detail for then President Obama and George Bush before becoming a popular right-wing clown. He became one of the leading personalities in the MAGA movement to spread false information about the 2020 election, which Trump and his allies have continued to maintain was marred by widespread fraud, even though there have been no evidence. There has been no evidence to suggest, and has been rejected as false by many judges and former Trump Attorney General William Barr. They're going to replace the FBI agents with AI. For a few years following Rush Limbaugh's death in 2021, he was chosen for a radio show on the same time slot as the famous commentator. Bongino worked for the New York Police Department for several years in the 1990s before joining the Secret Service. He began doing commentary on Fox News more than a decade ago and had Saturday Night Show with the network from 2021 to 2023. He is now the host of the Dan Bongino Show, one of the most popular podcasts according to Spotify. Phenomenal. Fantastic. Anyone that shared pro-Luigi propaganda got to be on a list together. I feel like I'm in good company there. That's true. You know. We're all good people in here. During an interview last fall, Bongino asked Trump to commit to forming a commission to reform the Secret Service, calling it a failed agency and criticizing it for the 2 assassination attempts last year. That guy should have been nowhere near you, said Bongino about the man who authorities say camped outside Trump's golf course in West Palm Beach before he was spotted with a rifle. During the same interview, Trump praised the Secret Service agents who saw the rifle barrel coming out of the bush. Patel and Bongino will succeed the 2 acting FBI leaders, Brian Driscoll and Rob Kissane, who have led the Bureau since the departure in January of former Director Christopher Wray, who was appointed by Trump in 2017 and held the job for the next 7 years before resigning at the end of the Biden administration to make way for these two for this Kash Patel clown. So fantastic, awesome, cool. That's how I feel about the Out and Proud Neurodivergent community, but I'm also a bit worried. Yeah. I'm worried just in general about like anyone that is not like cis, white, and male. basically. Like anyone who is not cis, white, and male is like is eligible to be on the chopping block. Okay, like let's just keep it 100. Yeah, and conservative. That's right. Yeah, of course. Of course. The circus just keeps getting bigger, folks. It's actually like it's actually astounding that someone like Bongino, Dan Bongino, is like second in command of the FBI. It's astounding that someone like Kash Patel is leading the FBI. But here we are. Here we are. As much as the news sucks lately, it's good to be going through it with you guys. Here. At least we're all here together, okay? And it's important to remember that we are here together, right? The best thing that we can do is protect each other and close ranks, okay? Because go do a household chore and treat yourself. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Actually, I already did my chores, okay? Mostly. But I am gonna treat myself. And you know what? Yeah, it's okay to treat yourselves, okay? Take care of each other, folks, okay? Take care of yourselves and take care of take care of each other, because we protect us. Okay? We protect us. Not gonna lie, some days I wish that we're living in a simulation. People were right. At least this unbelievable stuff would be more believable. Yeah, toke up, whatever, you know. Whatever you need to do. At the end of the day, folks, again, we protect us. Okay? We protect us. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Thank you so much for the support. Okay. Thank you so much, Heat, for the tier 1 sub. Thank you, Cognizant, for the tier 1 sub. Thank you to the new follows. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. You guys are what makes this channel go. It can't be done without you guys. Thank you so much. Please, round of applause for you guys. Okay. Thanks for streaming. I know it's difficult sometimes. Yeah, no problem. Round of applause for you guys. Okay. Thank you. Ground level news. I appreciate you guys being here. You guys are what makes this channel go. As always, folks, if you want to support the channel, keep doing what you're doing, folks, okay? For those of you on the YouTube, keep liking the stream, spread the word, subscribe on the YouTubes, okay? 263 of you have done so already, so I appreciate that. Lend me your eyeballs, okay? Spread the word. We're here Monday through Thursday. If you want to support the channel directly, there is the exclamation mark merch, the tip button as well. And yeah, keep doing it, folks. Thank you. Subscribe to the Substack. Join the Discord if you want to keep up with the channel. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hassler, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. I'll be here tomorrow, Probs. No problem. I'm just glad that you're here. Thank you, guys, for being here. I appreciate it. Thank you to the mods. Thank you, Michael Hassler, Heat. We'll be back tomorrow. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. That looks like teeth. It does. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.